Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you could save your relationships and your reputation. The wrong words can completely ruin how people see you. Say the wrong thing, and you don't just lose respect. You lose their interest, their trust, and sometimes their presence in your life entirely. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 phrases that should never come out of your mouth if you want to be taken seriously as a mature, emotionally intelligent person. But more than that, I'm going to explain why these words are so damaging and what you should do instead. Because it's not just about avoiding mistakes, it's about becoming the kind of person whose words build bridges instead of burning them. The first phrase you must eliminate from your vocabulary is this: calm down, you're overreacting. Nothing, and I mean nothing, makes someone feel more dismissed than being told to calm down. Even if they genuinely are overreacting, saying this only adds fuel to the fire. Here's why this phrase is so destructive. When someone is emotional, they're not looking for you to be their judge and jury. They're looking for understanding, validation, or at the very least acknowledgement that their feelings matter. When you tell someone they're overreacting, you're essentially saying their emotional experience is invalid, that you know better than they do about how they should feel. Think about it from their perspective. They're already feeling intense emotions. Maybe they're frustrated, hurt, scared, or overwhelmed. And in that vulnerable moment, instead of getting support or understanding, they get criticism. Instead of feeling heard, they feel judged. That's not just unhelpful, it's actively harmful to the relationship. Emotionally mature person listens first. They validate the emotion even if they don't agree with the response. They navigate the situation with presence, not condescension. Instead of calm down, try something like, I can see you're really upset about this. Help me understand what's bothering you. Or simply, tell me more about how you're feeling. The difference is profound. One approach shuts down communication. The other opens it up. One makes you seem dismissive and superior. The other makes you seem caring and genuinely interested in resolving the issue. The second phrase that will destroy your credibility is "you're just like your mother," or "you're just like your father." This line is rarely used in a positive way. It's usually a jab thrown out of frustration, designed to hurt rather than help. And let me tell you something, if you want to build something meaningful with someone, if you want to lead or heal or grow together, cheap shots will never get you there. When you compare someone negatively to their family members, you're hitting below the belt. You're taking something personal and intimate, their family relationships, and weaponizing it. That's not strength. That's emotional immaturity at its worst. Here's what happens when you say this. First, you cause immediate pain. Family relationships are complex, and most people have some level of sensitivity about being compared to their parents. Second, you show that you're willing to use personal information as ammunition when things get tough. Third, you demonstrate that you don't know how to fight fair or handle conflict constructively. A mature person keeps family out of arguments. They address the specific behavior or issue at hand without bringing up irrelevant comparisons. If you're frustrated with how someone is acting, address that specific action. Don't make it about their entire family lineage. Instead of using family comparisons as weapons, try focusing on the specific behavior. I feel like we're not communicating effectively right now. Can we try a different approach? Keep it classy, keep it relevant, and keep it constructive. Or better yet, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay silent until you can respond with wisdom instead of reacting with emotion. The third phrase that will immediately diminish your value is, "you're lucky to have me." If you have to say it, it probably isn't true. Confidence doesn't need a microphone. Real value doesn't need to be announced. It's obvious in how you carry yourself, how you treat others, and what you bring to every situation. When someone says "you're lucky to have me," what they're really revealing is their own insecurity. They're trying to convince the other person of their worth because they're not confident that it's already apparent. But here's the thing, truly valuable people don't need to broadcast their value. It shows up in their actions, their consistency, their character. Moreover, this phrase creates a power imbalance that's toxic to any healthy relationship. It suggests that the relationship is one-sided, that you're doing them a favor by being with them. But real relationships are built on mutual respect and mutual value. Both people should feel fortunate to have each other, and both should demonstrate that through their actions, not their words. Instead of telling someone how lucky they are to have you, show them through your behavior. Be the kind of person who adds so much value to their life that they naturally feel grateful. Be reliable, supportive, growth-oriented, and present. Let your actions speak so loudly that your words don't need to convince anyone of your worth. And here's a key insight. When you stop trying to convince people of your value and start genuinely embodying it, something magical happens. People start recognizing and appreciating you more, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. The fourth phrase that reveals weakness rather than strength is "I don't care." Whether it's about their opinion, an argument, or a choice they're asking you to help with, Chronic apathy is not attractive, it's concerning. You don't have to obsess over everything, but when someone constantly says, I don't care, what they're really communicating is, I'm checked out. And let me tell you something, nobody respects someone who doesn't show up emotionally. Caring doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Engagement doesn't make you needy, it makes you present. When you consistently respond with I don't care, you're not projecting strength. You're projecting indifference, and indifference is the opposite of love, connection, and leadership. Here's why this is so damaging. Relationships require emotional investment. When someone asks for your opinion or wants your input on a decision, they're inviting you into their world. They're saying your thoughts matter to me, and when you respond with I don't care, you're rejecting that invitation. You're saying I don't want to be involved in what matters to you. Over time, this creates distance and resentment. The other person stops asking for your input because they've learned you won't engage. They stop sharing their thoughts and concerns because they've learned you won't care. Eventually, they may stop sharing their life with you altogether. Now, I'm not saying you need to have a strong opinion about every single thing, but there's a difference between saying I don't care and saying I trust your judgment on this. Or either option sounds good to me. The first sounds dismissive, the second sounds supportive. When someone asks for your input, engage with them, ask questions, show interest. If you genuinely don't have a preference, you can say something like, both options have merit. What are you leaning toward? Or I can see pros and cons to both. What's most important to you in this decision? The goal is to show that you care about them and their concerns, even if you don't have strong feelings about the specific issue at hand. The fifth and final phrase that will kill your growth in your relationships is, that's just how I am. This is the anthem of someone who refuses to evolve. It's a way of staying comfortable, of avoiding self-reflection and personal development. And in a world that's constantly changing, in relationships that require continuous growth, this attitude is relationship poison. When you say that's just how I am, you're essentially saying, I'm not willing to change, improve, or adapt. You're closing the door on growth, on feedback, on becoming a better version of yourself. And that's not just limiting, it's selfish. Here's the reality. We all have flaws, weaknesses, and areas where we can improve. Mature people acknowledge these areas and work on them. They don't hide behind them or use them as excuses. They take responsibility for their behavior and actively work to become better. A truly confident person owns their flaws without being defined by them. They say things like, you're right, I do struggle with that. I'm working on it, or that's something I need to improve. Thanks for pointing it out. They see feedback as a gift, not an attack. Growth is not optional if you want meaningful relationships, career success, or personal fulfillment. The world doesn't owe you acceptance of your flaws, especially when those flaws hurt other people or limit your potential. Instead of hiding behind that's just how I am, embrace the mindset of continuous improvement. When someone points out an area where you could grow, thank them for the feedback and genuinely consider how you might improve. When you make a mistake, take responsibility and learn from it. This doesn't mean you should change your core identity or values for other people. It means you should be willing to refine your behavior, develop new skills, and become more emotionally intelligent over time. Now let me share with you what you should be saying instead of these relationship-killing phrases. The words that build rather than destroy, that strengthen rather than weaken, that attract rather than repel. When someone is emotional, instead of telling them to calm down, try, I can see this is really important to you. Help me understand. Or simply, tell me more. These phrases show that you're present, that you value their feelings, and that you want to understand rather than dismiss. When you're frustrated, instead of making personal attacks or comparisons, try, I'm feeling frustrated right now. Can we take a break and come back to this? Or I need a moment to collect my thoughts so I can respond better. This shows emotional maturity and self-awareness. When you want to express your value in the relationship, instead of demanding recognition, try showing it through consistent action and occasional appreciation. I'm grateful we found each other, or I love building this life with you. These phrases create connection rather than competition. When someone asks for your opinion, instead of saying you don't care, try, what are you thinking? Or help me understand the options, or what's most important to you in this decision. These responses show engagement and care. When someone gives you feedback, instead of deflecting with that's just how I am, try, I hadn't thought of it that way, or that's something I can work on, or thanks for being honest with me. These responses show growth mindset and emotional maturity. But here's something crucial to understand. It's not just about changing your words, it's about changing your mindset. The words are just the surface level. The real transformation happens when you genuinely start caring more about building people up than tearing them down. When you genuinely start prioritizing growth over comfort, when you genuinely start valuing connection over being right. The most attractive quality in any person is emotional intelligence, combined with genuine care for others' well-being. When you speak from this place, your words naturally become more thoughtful, more constructive, and more powerful. People are drawn to those who make them feel heard, valued, and understood. They're attracted to those who challenge them to grow while also accepting them where they are. They respect those who take responsibility for their words and actions. Here's what I want you to understand about the power of words. They reveal character. Every time you speak, you're showing the world who you are inside. Your words reflect your level of emotional maturity, your capacity for empathy, your willingness to grow, and your ability to lead and love well. When you choose your words carefully, when you speak with intention rather than just reacting with emotion, you demonstrate that you're someone who can be trusted with important conversations, difficult situations, and other people's hearts. This isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about being intentional. It's about pausing before you speak and asking yourself, will these words build or destroy? Will they help or hurt? Will they bring us closer or drive us apart? Here's your action plan moving forward. First, become aware of your current speech patterns. Notice when you're tempted to use any of these 5 phrases. Catch yourself before the words come out, or if you've already said them, acknowledge it and course correct. Second, practice the replacement phrases I've shared with you. Role-play different scenarios in your mind so that when emotions are high, you have better options readily available. Third, focus on the underlying mindset shifts. Work on genuinely caring about others' perspectives. Develop a growth mindset that welcomes feedback. Build your emotional intelligence so you can navigate difficult conversations with grace. Fourth, remember that change takes time. Don't expect to transform your communication style overnight. Be patient with yourself while also holding yourself accountable to higher standards. Finally, pay attention to how people respond to you differently as you improve your communication. Notice how your relationships improve when your words start building people up instead of tearing them down. Remember, you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. Your words tell the world what kind of person you are. They reveal your character, your values, your emotional maturity, and your capacity for meaningful connection. Choose them with care, speak with strength, and most importantly, live in a way that your words never have to cover for your actions. When your words and your actions are aligned, when they both come from a place of genuine care and strength, that's when you become truly magnetic. That's when people don't just hear what you're saying, they feel who you are. And that feeling, that authentic connection, that's what creates lasting relationships, respect, and influence. Your words have power. Use them wisely.